Imagine checking your phone. It's a routine part of your day, right? You might be expecting a meme from a friend, a reminder about a meeting, or maybe a grocery list from your partner. It's all very mundane, very predictable. You're expecting the usual memes, maybe a grocery list. But what if, instead of the usual, you find something completely unexpected, something that makes your heart race and your palms sweat? Instead, you find yourself inside a top-secret chat. A chat that you were never meant to see. A chat that holds secrets that could change the course of history. This wasn't just any group message. This was a message thread that was buzzing with activity, filled with high-stakes discussions and confidential plans. This was the Trump administration's inner circle, the very heart of power, where decisions that affect millions are made. And they were planning a war, not just any war, but a conflict that could reshape the geopolitical landscape. That's what happened to one journalist. He was just going about his day, doing his job, when he stumbled upon this explosive information. He stumbled headfirst into the digital war room, a place where every message could be a bombshell, every word a potential headline. The chat was a who's who of Trump's cabinet think-hawks, think hardliners. These were the people who shaped policy, who influenced the president's decisions. Names like Waltz, Hegseth, even J.D. Vance popped up. This wasn't a drill. They weren't messing around. These were serious players discussing serious matters. This was the real deal, laid bare in black and white text. Every message was a piece of the puzzle, every reply a clue to the bigger picture, and our accidental tourist had a front row seat. He was witnessing history in the making, one text message at a time. It was a moment that would change everything, a moment that he would never forget. The chat wasn't just gossip, this was operational. The journalists saw it all. Weapons packages detailed like online shopping carts, target lists with names and places, even the timing of the attack was laid out hour by hour. They discussed drones, bombs, the whole grim toolkit. They talked about minimizing civilian casualties, but let's be honest, in war, minimize is a flexible word. The journalist was drowning in information. It was terrifying and exhilarating. He was witnessing history, the kind they don't teach in journalism school. Yemen, that small nation on the tip of the Arabian Peninsula, already devastated by years of war, now it was back in the crosshairs. The Trump administration was itching for a fight. The Houthis, the rebels who controlled much of Yemen, were the enemy. The Trump administration saw them as Iranian puppets, a threat to American interests. Never mind the humanitarian crisis, the millions on the brink of starvation. This wasn't just about Yemen. It was about sending a message to Iran, to the world. The message was simple: don't mess with America or else. As the journalist scrolled through the chat, a terrifying realization hit him. This wasn't a hypothetical. The attack was imminent. Hours, maybe minutes away. He was sitting on a bombshell. He knew he had to do something. But what? Go public? Alert the authorities? Every option felt wrong, dangerous. He was caught between his duty as a journalist and the knowledge that revealing this could have devastating consequences. The clock was ticking. The fate of nations, the lives of countless people hung in the balance. Section 5, Loose Lips Sinking Ships. Imagine being the guy who accidentally CC'd the entire company on that email. Now magnify that awkwardness by 1,000 suns. That's what it must have felt like for whoever added the journalist to that chat. The reactions in the chat were immediate: confusion, then panic. How did this happen? Who screwed up? The air must have crackled with expletives, though the chat logs probably couldn't handle that kind of heat. They say loose lips sink ships. Well, in this case, a loose finger might have just started a war. Section 6, Panic in the chat. The chat, once a model of military precision, devolved into chaos. Accusations flew like digital bullets, fingers pointed in every direction but their own. The journalist, once an invisible observer, was now the elephant in the digital room. He could practically feel their eyes burning through the screen, a mix of anger, fear, and probably a good dose of "you'd better not." It was a stark reminder that even in the digital age, the stakes of war are real, and the consequences of even the smallest mistakes can be catastrophic. Section 7, The Law and the Leak. Here's the thing about classified information. It's called that for a reason. These documents are meant to be kept under wraps, away from prying eyes. They contain sensitive data that, if exposed, could jeopardize national security, endanger lives, and compromise operations. The stakes are incredibly high. Leaking it, even by accident, isn't just embarrassing, it's a crime. The consequences can be severe, ranging from hefty fines to long prison sentences. Imagine the shock and horror of realizing that a simple mistake could lead to such drastic repercussions. We're talking Espionage Act, federal records laws, the works. These laws are designed to protect the integrity of classified information and ensure that those who handle it do so with the utmost care and responsibility. Violating these laws can lead to serious legal battles and a tarnished reputation. The journalist had stumbled into a legal minefield. Unwittingly, they had crossed a line that could have far-reaching implications. The world of journalism is fraught with challenges, and navigating the fine line between public interest and legal boundaries is no easy task. But so had the Trump administration. In their efforts to manage and control information, they too found themselves entangled in a web of legal complexities. The administration's actions raised questions about the proper handling of classified information and the potential for misuse. See, using an app like Signal for top-secret war planning, that's a risky move. While apps like Signal offer encryption and privacy, they are not foolproof. The use of such apps for highly sensitive information can lead to vulnerabilities and potential breaches. That's like writing your grocery list on the back of the Constitution. Not smart. The Constitution is a symbol of the nation's values and principles, and treating classified information with the same level of respect and caution is crucial. This wasn't just a political blunder, it was a legal nightmare. The ramifications of mishandling classified information extend beyond politics. They can lead to legal battles, public scrutiny, and a loss of trust. And like any good nightmare, it was about to get a whole lot worse. The unfolding events would test the limits of the law, the resilience of those involved, and the very fabric of the nation's security protocols. Section 8. Echoes of Wars Past. The Trump administration's justification for the Yemen strike was a familiar tune. They framed it as a necessary action to protect American interests and allies in the region. The rhetoric was strong, the message clear. America would not stand idly by while threats loomed on the horizon. This was a stance that resonated with many, evoking a sense of patriotism and duty. They called it a response to Houthi aggression, a move to counteract the growing influence of Iran in the Middle East. The administration emphasized the importance of showing strength and resolve, painting the operation as a decisive action to maintain stability. Yet, beneath the surface, there were echoes of past conflicts and the justifications that accompanied them. A show of strength against Iran, sound familiar? It should. From Vietnam to Iraq, Afghanistan to Libya, the narrative has often been the same. Each conflict, each intervention, was presented as a necessary step to protect freedom, democracy, and American interests. The faces in the White House changed, but the script remains strikingly similar. America has a long and troubled history of interventionist foreign policy. Each time, the public was told that the actions were in the best interest of the nation and the world, yet the aftermath often told a different story. Protests erupted, questioning the true motives behind these decisions. The human cost, the destruction, and the long-term consequences were often far greater than initially portrayed. Each administration claims its reasons are just, its cause noble. But the results? They are often messy, often tragic. The promises of quick victories and minimal casualties rarely materialize. Instead, the conflicts drag on, leaving behind a trail of devastation and loss. The noble intentions are overshadowed by the harsh realities on the ground, often messy, often tragic. The images of war-torn cities, the grieving families, and the endless cycle of violence paint a stark picture. The human toll is immense, and the scars left behind are deep and lasting. The Yemen strike was no different, serving as a stark reminder that some things never change. The Yemen strike was a stark reminder that some things never change. Despite the promises of new strategies and better outcomes, the reality remains grim. The use of military force continues to be a go-to solution, often with devastating consequences. The cycle of conflict and intervention seems unending, with each new administration following a familiar path. The names and faces may change, but the policies often remain the same. Each new leader brings their own rhetoric and promises of change, yet the underlying approach to foreign policy remains consistent. The emphasis on military strength and intervention persists, driven by a belief in American exceptionalism and the desire to maintain global dominance. But the impulse to wage war, to flex American muscle on the world stage, remains strong. The allure of demonstrating power and influence is a constant in American politics. The military-industrial complex, with its vast resources and influence, plays a significant role in shaping these decisions. The cycle continues with each new conflict echoing the ones before it. To flex American muscle on the world stage remains strong. The desire to project strength and maintain a position of dominance drives much of the foreign policy decisions. As we look back at the echoes of wars past, it becomes clear that while the names and faces may change, the underlying dynamics remain strikingly similar. The challenge remains: can we learn from history, or are we doomed to repeat it? Section 9. A World on Edge. The accidental leak of the Yemen war plans sent shockwaves through the world. Allies were left questioning America's judgment. Enemies saw it as confirmation of their worst fears. The incident highlighted the fragility of peace in a world on edge. It showed how easily miscommunication, or in this case, a misplaced finger, could tip the scales from diplomacy to disaster. In the aftermath, one thing was clear: the world was watching, holding its breath, waiting to see what America would do next.